Episode 324. This guy was quite amazing. Jake tried the water temperature and put Seth into it. Seth shouted, "It's so comfortable! Jeremy, come in!" Jeremy took off his boxers, and when he wanted to walk in, he suddenly got lifted up by a big hand. The little guy felt embarrassed. His face was inexplicably red, and then he was immersed in the water. Jake also stripped himself clean and stepped inside. Seth smiled happily. His blue eyes looked like sapphires through the mist. Jeremy was crouching in the big bathtub with a strange, wonderful feeling in his heart. He was taking a bath with an adult. He was actually taking a bath with his dad. Jeremy blinked his eyes and heard Seth say, "There's a lot of hair on the uncle's feet. Hey, there's also hair here, here, and here." Seth acted like he had found the new world. Jeremy couldn't help but look at the direction pointed by Seth. In the end, he saw the mighty manhood of an adult. He couldn't help but clench his legs. Disgusting. Jeremy was red-faced, hugged his knees, and let the water go past his chin. "You were so big and you don't know how to take a bath yourself?" Jake took a look at the two little guys and took the jar next to him. "Bubble bath? What the hell?" Jake directly threw the thing back and took a bar of soap and waved to Jeremy. "Come here." Jeremy snorted, turned his head, and ignored him. Jake chuckled. Who did this kid take after? So awkward. Seeing that he was being ignored, Jake waved to Seth. Seth half swam to him and sat in front of Jake. It was the first time for Jake to bathe the child. He applied the soap on him and then realized he should wash his hair. He picked up the shower head to wash the hair for the little guy and then gave his body a rub. It was the first time for Seth to be bathed by a man, especially someone like a father. He felt both happy and excited. Looking at Jeremy, who was sulking on the side, Seth did not understand what he wanted. If it was his father, he would have asked his father to be taken out. Jake gave him a bath with patience, put him aside, and waved at Jeremy. "Come here." Jeremy did not want to go, still sitting in the same place, soaking in the water. Jake gave up being polite, reached out and pulled him over, giving him a bath in the same way. This time he was obviously more proficient and softer. God knows that it was the first time for Jake to serve a child. He was amazed by his own patience. After changing the water several times and drying the two children, he finally realized that he did not bring any clothes in. He found a bath towel and wrapped it around his waist, then he took the two children, each in one arm. Seth's eyes were shining, and Jeremy felt a little dazed. So strong he could carry him and Seth at the same time. Jeremy blinked and looked at Jake's face that was similar to his own. It seemed this guy was quite amazing. Looking for their clothes, Jake eventually found two sets of cartoon pajamas that looked like boys wear. One was a blue Altman print, and the other was a gray checkered print. Jake threw the Altman to Seth and threw the gray checkers to Jeremy. He said, "Put them on yourselves. A man must learn to be self-reliant." Seth was so excited that he nodded, his face red, and looked at Jake with a look of adoration. He said, "Uncle, you're so clever. How do you know that this is mine and that one is Jeremy's?" Jake did not answer but helped him unbutton the pajamas. "You want to know?" Seth nodded heartily, staring at him eagerly. Jeremy also looked at him, his eyes that looked like Jake's were dark and bright. Jake looked at Jeremy, smiled, and asked, "Do you want to know as well?" Jeremy noticed his gaze, blushed a little, and looked away. "Not so much." With a slight smile, Jake said to himself, "Because Jeremy is my son." Seth heard it and felt amazed, nodding without fully understanding. Jeremy was stunned, and the wonderful feeling in his heart came back, because he was his son, so he knew that these pajamas were his. Jeremy did not quite understand what that sentence meant. Before he thought it through, Jake had already stood up and said, "I'm going back. You two get dressed and play. Go to bed early." "Okay, Uncle. Bye." Jeremy did not speak. Jake looked at Jeremy and touched the head of Seth. "See you tomorrow." "See you." However, when Jake went to close the door, Jeremy suddenly said, "You haven't put on clothes yet."
"Do I have my clothes here?" Jake asked, and then opened the door and went out. Tut.
Jeremy blushed, feeling slightly excited. This joy came out of nowhere, but Jeremy's bad mood immediately lightened up. Jake walked back to his bedroom with a bath towel, and Serena was shocked when she opened the door. She quickly pulled him in and looked outside. Fortunately, no guest. This guy is too bold. Serena turned and closed the door, but before she turned around, a hot body wrapped around her from behind, making her let out a yelp. Jake turned her back, pinned her against the wall, and kissed her deeply, his big hand moving on her body. Serena struggled but did not even drive away his lips. Resisting him, Serena looked inside. Jake did not notice her move. Serena pushed him hard, even using her knees. But Jake's strength was getting bigger and bigger, and there was no room for her to struggle.
Mom, I can't pull it up.
The tender voice came from inside with a cry of grievance. Jake immediately opened his eyes and released her. Serena gasped and pushed him with a red face. What's the hurry? Inside, the little girl ran out in a nightdress with her face pink.